Welcome back to the next series with me. And today we're going to talk about abusive relationships, whether they are happening back at home or at the office. And this is not just pertaining to women, let's even count men who undergo the same wounds of emotional abuse, physical, financial, psychological, and even sexual abuse. So, being a counselor, I have been dealing with various cases which have been on all of these streams, either sexually, emotionally, physically, and financially too. So, talking about certain cases where they were totally brutalized with abuse, and they did not even know that they were under a certain, state of dysfunctional relationship. They thought it was normal, and most of them, sadly, continue to live in this abuse, thinking that this is normal. Why? Because everybody tells them to tolerate or to face it or to have more courage and deal with it and live there for the children or live there for the parents or hold a job tightly because income matters. But the effect goes even far deeper than you know. It destroys your self esteem, your confidence, and even your health. So, let me share with you some cases that came my way during the counseling. To start with, let me consider the latest case that I was dealing with, and I'm happy to say that he has learned to move on. So, this was a guy who came back from abroad and was trying to claim his custody of his daughter, who was also victimized by the mother being a narcissist. So the daughter and the husband went through the same abuse. The daughter was also threatened, controlled, and pushed to, be indoors and not to talk to friends. And in school, she was most terrorized student. And the father, as the husband, also went through the same. In fact, he had lost his job in abroad and he came back empty handed, emotionally brutalized as much as lost his financial standing. He came home empty handed to his parents. And that's when he was routed to meet up with a counselor because he had lost every strength of his. So, to learn to cope up with this after effect of abuse was something that he was battling with. And many out there go through the same, but some lie on low on it, not seeking any professional help, and therefore they have a slow death. So this mm, victimized husband was actually um, coping with the terror in the night. He would wake up in the late night and with bad dreams, recurring bad dreams, and he was like shuddering all over his body. And these were his symptoms. And he would wake up sweating palms or either, stammering and not knowing how to communicate his feelings, thoughts, or ideas. And his parents could see those signs. They understood something had really happened back in abroad. And he was very shy from confiding or telling about it until he met up with me. And then he slowly disclosed the story where it all began early on in the marriage, but he endured it for 9 years. She took away all his property in her name and also threatened him of suicide if he did not do it. She would also threaten with the child because that's the way she chose to control him, to make him do the things she wanted him to do. And she even deprived him of sexual intimacy. Emotional intimacy was also out of the window, and she was just manipulating him for financial gain. Now, when this happens to a victim, it is not only the issue with the victim. The issue is actually the victimizer. He is or she is not resolved. They are going through their own mental, emotional, or psychological disruption, and therefore they are dealing with their partners in this way. But should you put up with this? No, not at all. You shouldn't keep giving chance to the victimizer to treat you like that. You should take the courage to voice it to someone. But many go silent, and so did he. For 9 years, he did not convey to his parents because he had actually had a love marriage, not knowing that this would turn out to be some kind of a battle for all his life, ripping him off financially, emotionally, leaving him wounded, costing his confidence and everything. Of course, it took him several sessions to regain his confidence and to take a grip of his life and work also. The child custody was lost for long and the battle still continues. But he regained himself, and that was the first victory. Second comes of another lady who married an NRI, thinking that she would start a flourishing career in the foreign lands, besides having a blissful marriage. But to her surprise and shock, she was disallowed from doing a job after even 1 year of the marriage. Beside that, she was not even allowed to meet her parents. And talking to friends or neighbors was totally disallowed. So she was locked in four walls with this abusive husband who nobody could have even suspected. He was a very sophisticated man, very well mannered in the social world, but nobody could have ever suspected that he was treating his wife in an abusive way, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. Of course, sexually too. But she did not have the courage to reach out to anyone for very long until things went beyond her tolerance. And then she took the courage to call her neighbor, who was the immediate person that she could reach out to help her to get to her parents, help her to get back to India safely. She had to find a master plan to escape this victimizer. And next came the story of another woman who was very equipped, corporate woman. Never could you have guessed that she had a very abusive life too. Her husband being alcoholic and also a loser at his work. He had lost his job, and to dominate his personality, to prove something, he would just control her left, right, and center, abusing her in public as well as at home and even in front of the children. So she lost her respect everywhere. She did not know what to do with it. First, she tried to cope up and silent him and asked for forgiveness and even felt as if she was wrong. And she felt guilty about her job, her success, her achievement. She felt she had let down her husband. But did she really do that? Or was it the husband was not being responsible for his own choices and consequences, for his own loss at work? But she was made to feel to that you're worthless, you are not a good mother, and that you are not a good wife, and these kind of blames and these kind of abuse mentally, emotionally made her even weak inside and doubt herself. She even started to wonder if she was not good enough in anything. And soon thereafter, she lost her own grip at work. She could not focus. After all, at home, she was not dealt in peace and love and harmony. She returned to office half asleep, feeling totally devoid of interest, passion, vigor to do her job. Everyone in the office noticed it, even questioned her. but she shied from expressing, sharing, because again, it was a matter of shame. Many of us are told to be silent about such matters, not to share it. It should be a hush hush thing. And we believe to make it work. We are asked to fix the marriage rather than walk away with courage and pride. So it was the same with all of them. Whoever came, their parents were also not very supportive at times. So they did not know where to go, what to do. And especially when the wives were totally codependent, or the uh, or woman was at a work which she loved so much and did not want to lose it. So even if she was sexually abused by her boss, so was it. And we give in to these melodramas and these kind of abuse until we learn to deal with our own emotions, our own respect, and in such a way that we can have the courage to say no and set boundaries. Setting boundaries takes a lot of courage because, especially when it comes to personal relationships, we find it so hard to learn to say no and even to walk away from it. So, my question here would be, what would it take for you to walk away? Why is it that you need to endure it? Were you taught to believe that marriage is everything, that you need to live up to your husband's expectation? Or if you're a husband being wounded and labeled by an abusive wife, are you supposed to put up with this? Is it not your self-respect to, to teach her how to treat you, or to tell her to not to call you names? But since we are so victimized, we don't take the courage to voice or to walk away. And that's something that we need to learn and own up. Because if we don't do it, no neighbor can help you, no friend can help you, and sometimes not even your parents. But sadly, I would like to say this here that some of the parents don't even support you. But that should not be the only option for you. You should go out and reach out for another support system. That could be your friends, and even a woman's cell that you could call out and say that I am under a threat or control, or I've been abused, so that they can help you and they can rescue you. Sometimes we need a support from outside to assure us that we can do it, because once we are victimized for such a long period of time, we actually lose our voice, we lose our strength. And I hope that you don't allow this to yourself. And if you know someone who's going through it, help them to move on. Some of the signs to watch out, because many of us don't even know that we're dealing in a living or dealing with abusive relationship, because we were taught to believe that this is normal, as I said before. So the signs to watch out is, the victimizer will control control you from talking to your friends or family, will control your every move, where you're going, what you're doing, who you're meeting, and even probably restrict you. Next, they might even take a look at your phone and internet, computer, of course, so that they can scan you, because they are so afraid that you may spill the beans, you may go and tell everybody as to what is happening indoors. They are frightened of their own reputation. So they might control you in every nook and corner. Next, they can blame you for their own behavior towards you. They may make you feel guilty. They may say that because of you, I have become such a person, or because of you, I can't control but drink. Because of you, I lost my job. All of this would come hurling at you. Next, the victimizer also might even threaten you that they might take away your children, or they will kill your children, or they would harm your parents, or someone who's very dear near to you. They threaten you with these things so that they could control you. But do not give in to their threat either. Do not even tell them that you're going to walk away from them, because the more you let them know that, okay, I'm going to walk away, and they will do everything to lock you in even more. They would take away all your freedom. Also, to watch out is that they might even take away your financial control. Meaning, if you are earning a certain salary, they might take away that portion of your salary and tell you, this is for our good, and that you should trust me, I will handle it better. What they're actually doing is taking away your courage to walk out on them because of financial standing. So they will take away your control over your own salary or bank accounts, like it happened with one of my clients. Took away all control over his own financial accounts, bank accounts, and even the property. Next, they might even call you names and be having, have temperamental behaviors, might just lash out anywhere without any care. They might call you names in front of the social people in party or at office or at home. So they leave you with no reputation. They are out there to spoil your character so that they can prove themselves right. That is their way and gimmicks that they use to put you into a certain frame that people kind of uh, kind of make a opinion about you or make a judgment about you, thinking that you are a bad woman or a bad man, and that's why he's behaving this way or that way. They can do anything to let you down and to control you. And of course, physical harm is the most common thing when it comes to man overpowering a woman, where they even belt you, slash you with a belt, or kind of slap you across, of course, and may even use certain force over you. And this continues to be behavior not once or twice, because sometimes the client would say to me, maybe I need to just be better, then he would treat me nicely. Maybe I'm wrong somewhere, or maybe I should give him another chance, he will be okay, he loves me otherwise. But that love is only for one time. Again he comes back to the same pattern, same behavior, brutally treating you. And again, they, even if the victimizer tells you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I don't know what happened to me, I am so bad, but that is just another way to cover up, because they don't want to lose you, and they will say anything to control you again. You were given to their sob stories and they're sorry, but this will again not be for a long time. So you need to recognize this, that this is not what you need to tolerate. This is not the way to live in a relationship. And this is not something that you need to endure, even if your parents have taught you, even if you don't have a financial standing. Remember one thing, that if you take the courage to walk out, rest will open doors for you. So let's say you need to get a job in place, or you need to find a hostel to stay if you don't have your parents looking after you or taking you back, or you can go to a friend's place and start before you get your own life in place together. But giving in and shying and living in this feeling that you have no better option, so continue like this under that roof, you are depriving yourself a healthy life. And if you're doing it for children, that's a lie you're telling to yourself. Trust me, children are not benefiting from your victim state. They are sensing and understanding what my father is going through or what my mother is going through. And if they see that, witness that again and again, imagine what projection are you giving onto them? What impact are you giving to them? And the children do not benefit from the so-called dysfunctional marriage. So if you're trying to save your marriage for your children, that is another lie or myth that you're holding, because this will not last either. Your children will also be affected. They will have anxiety, fear, suppression, all kinds of fears which that might even affect their studies. So don't give in, don't think that you're doing something as a sacrifice. This is not a sacrifice that you need to make. This is not a sensible sacrifice. This is something you need to just disregard and walk away from. Just let it be, let it go. Don't see it as a trapping alone. It's you who need to make a choice. It's not the victimizer who's going to say, okay, babe, or darling, please leave me because I'm such a dysfunctional person for you. He is never going to tell you to walk away. You need to make that choice. You need to say, I'm done with it. You need to own up your own power. Most of the time that the victim client had to go to understand and learn for themselves to own their power, because they had given away their control over to someone, and they thought that's all that there is to themselves. They did not realize that they have a choice and that they can restart a new life again. Of course, financial security is one of the most important reasons that people don't walk away. So get that in place first. Try to find a job in the nearest place, or maybe change the city. Find a way to move out of the marriage or a dysfunctional relationship, whatever your status is. Because living like this is a slow poison to yourself, to your psyche, to your well being, to your health, and even to your confidence in the long run. So, enduring this is not the answer. Trying to fix your husband or your wife or your whoever that person is to you is not going to help either. You don't need to fix them. You need to just get a life. Walk away. Don't try to be there thinking that your love or whatever you do for them will change them. It won't change them because they are going through their own programming and they need help too. But you can't help them in this particular state. In a personal relationship, it is very hard for you to help your partner see what's really happening to the marriage or to the relationship. Um, they will not be a good listener. They will not feel the flaws in themselves. Rather, they will say that you are the reason. Because of you, things are happening like this. So, taking that blame is not the way to even live it. So, take the courage to own that this is not a relationship which is healthy. It's not a thing that you need to endure. You are not to be blamed. You are not the one who should be in shame, guilt, and need a pain. So, how do you go about this? Is first of all, reach out to someone who can you can trust and start a master plan without the knowledge of your victimizer. You can't be forthright with them. It wouldn't help you. Sometimes you have to walk away in a way which probably you didn't want to do it. You don't need to feel guilty about doing it. You don't need to feel sorry for leaving your victimizer. It's not your fault or flaw that you're walking away. He gave you or she gave you so many chances to do that. So without shame and pain and guilt, owning yourself, owning your courage, owning your power is the strength that you need to accept and leave. So I hope you would not say that it's okay to live this way. I have lived it for 10 years or 9 years. So let me do another few years more. Because, as I said, it's a slow poison. You would be ripping yourself off as much as your children. You're not saving anybody. And right now, you need to save yourself. So go and rescue yourself to begin with. Thank you so much. I hope you take the courage and see the signs and walk out.